This story is called The Witch's Diary. Abby was a beautiful witch with long, flowy hair and a rather large body. She was never really proud of that little fact. It was something her relatives and even her own mother chided her for. They constantly told her to eat less and work out more. She usually didn't pay much mind to what they said, or at least that's what she'd like people to think. From a very young age she'd been singled out for reasons that could have been obvious and others not so much. Everyone always told her it was for her own good, that they'd point out her flaws. The first time it happened she'd been playing around with a light spell. She let her mind drift into a daydream accidentally, causing her to wander around in the astral plane. Abby was then known as the Dreaming Witch, constantly being made fun of for falling asleep during spell casting. During Abby's high school years, the teasing and bullying continued on, causing her to become depressed and overweight. Her sister started to ask when she was going to work out, constantly nagging her. This in turn caused Abby to move away from her family. Her family, however, didn't seem to understand and constantly came over and announced. They nagged her about dyeing her hair and how it would affect her magic. Eventually she managed to put up a magical barrier that would alert her to when her family would arrive. Her parents used to ask if she was sure about her familiar being a common street cat. She'd assured them that it was for the best because of the bonding experience. The common street cat was then named a Milky Way, for her coat was white with black splotches scattered about, making Abby think of the Milky Way. 5 years passed, and Abby was now 21, and her hair had magically taken to the hair dye she used. Sadly, Milky Way had gone through all 9 of her lives. Abby, of course, saddened by her passing, chose to keep Milky Way's spirit around, and she also got another familiar, a stray cat with a cream-colored coat she decided to name Vanilla. Vanilla was quite the contrast to Milky Way, for his mischievous nature ran his 9 lives down fairly quickly. Abby now had 2 very loving spirit familiars at her side, almost like they were her constant companions. She decided that it was much too soon to get another familiar. After all, Vanilla had just crossed into the astral plane. And I'm afraid that's all we have for today's story. Though if you want me to make more, I'll gladly make more. I have a couple stories here and there floating about in my room. I'll gladly